Welcome to my video blog. Today I'd like to talk to you about the United States budget. I'm probably one of the only people that you'll meet that actually goes to the GPO website that stores all of the data, the GPO Access, where you can actually download this data in spreadsheets or comma separated value files. And I actually go through and review this information to see where is our money going. And I would like to talk to you about that. What you'll find out, and you hear constantly on the news, the media is trying to tell you, oh, well, we need to cut spending, or we need to raise taxes, or giving you some sort of information. And I can tell you right now, our taxpayer dollars, we're spending way too much money. We do need to decrease spending. You'll find out that we're spending way more than the country brings in income. And thanks to free trade agreements and our government all the way back to the 70s that allowed these free trade agreements to come into play, most of our jobs here in the United States moved to overseas, which would have been income to the United States if they were here. One, by taxes and fees coming from the companies, as well as all of the employed people and their income taxes. But because these jobs are shipped overseas, we have a lot less income. And with all of the social agenda or social justice that the Obama administration is trying to push out there, they're spending way more money than comes in income. Looking at the graph, you'll see where we have spent more than we bring in income. Looking at the graph right up over here, you will see that the income brought in is over $3 trillion. Now, the numbers that you're looking at are times 1,000. This is the way they set it up in their budget outlays and their income. What you'll find out is that Obama has raised the taxes, him and the Democratic Congress has raised taxes $1 trillion. This is why the income is so much. There was no way that he could keep spending like he was without raising taxes, and he's done it secretly. You get a lot of people that will tell you, well, Bush taxed everybody to death. But when you look at the income taxes that were collected during the Bush era, they were nowhere near what's being collected in the Obama era. Obama is collecting over $1 trillion in income tax. And the interesting thing about that is, because of the high unemployment rate, and so many people that make under $50,000 a year annually or less, they get their taxes back, and in some cases receive an earned income credit, which you'll see as I go over the budget equates to billions of dollars being paid out. So that means that there are approximately 50% of the country that's actually pulling money out instead of contributing money to taxes. So anybody making over $50,000 or $60,000 a year is actually paying income tax to the United States. Those are the people that are getting taxed to death. And thanks to Obama, we're being taxed a lot more than we were during the President Bush term. A lot more. And of course, Obama is spending a lot more. Now, needless to say, with Obama administration trying to push their social agenda to redistribute wealth, you'll also notice that a social insurance tax was in there. It's not called Social Security like everybody is so used to calling. A social insurance tax. It's a socialist tax that you don't get back and is used to redistribute to those who either don't have it or don't want to work and wants to take advantage of it. And this is something that we've been trying to fight. A lot of people have been trying to fight. You figure you want to work hard and earn your dollar. And the harder you work, the more money you can earn. But it doesn't make sense if you're going to just earn more money to give it to somebody who doesn't want to work. They really don't do anything by encouraging people to work because, if you work, you're just going to give it to somebody who doesn't work. And why not be one of those people that doesn't work and just collect the money? Get the money from the government. Eventually, everybody will do that to where nobody's working, the government has no income, and they're just completely paying out to everybody using credit. It's almost like this is what President Obama wants. He wants to bankrupt the United States of America. So they're trying to push this socialist agenda. Now, what I'm going to do is look at the budget, and we're going to take a look at some money. Now, let's put it as finances in your home. If you are that strapped that you're paying one credit card with another, and what I'm illustrating here is Obama's let's raise the debt ceiling. I need to raise the debt ceiling so we can pay our bills. Really? So you need to raise the credit limit so we can borrow more money to pay our bills. And if we don't do it right away, or if it's not voted in the House or in the Senate, then of course they're holding the country hostage. Oh no, we don't want to do that. Hold the country hostage. They'll still send billions of dollars overseas, but oh no, we're not going to pay our senior citizens their old age retirement because we don't have it. But we will still send money overseas to other countries. Doesn't make sense to me. We need to work within our income, and we need to set a budget that we stick to. Now, I'm going to show you some things that I find questionable in this budget, and feel free to comment on what you think. But look at it this way. We don't have the money. We're borrowing money to pay our bills. So where are we going to cut in order to live within our means? Where in this budget would you cut to live within our means? Okay, what we want to do is we want to take a look at this budget. Now, I've got what's called a pivot table. If we actually go to the table of outlays, you'll find that there are 4,000 rows that they have it separated or categorized by the agency name, by the bureau name that's inside the agency, and then, of course, the account name. They also have account codes that go along with it. Well, for a quick way to view it, I usually use the pivot table in one of the Microsoft Excel products. So by using the pivot table, it groups everything together so you can get an idea on the money that is spent. Now again, I want you to look at these. For example, this one here that we're looking at, I'll zoom in on it here, $4,000. Okay, you have to remember, if you read the instructions, that all of these numbers are in thousands of dollars. So you would have to add 3 zeros to this 4,000. So technically it's really $4 million or $4,000. And that's the way they set these up. So in this case, I look at this, and the Commission for Fine Arts, or the Commission of Fine Arts, is $4 million. And then, of course, what you'll see is in this pivot table we have a plus sign that will expand that particular account or agency name, so you can see what accounts are going on. For example, as I scroll down, I have the Department of State, and I have it expanded. So here we have a capital investment fund. Well, apparently this is a fund for capital investments. Great. So we've got $77 million. Now again, remember, we have to add 3 zeros to this. So if we're looking at this, yeah, we're going to have our trusty add our 3 zeros to this. Very important. As we go down, we've got contributions for international peacekeeping and contributions to international organizations. Okay, well that one's kind of interesting, isn't it? And what you'll find out there is we've got some big money going out to international peacekeeping activities and international organizations. Again, remember, you have to add the 3 zeros there. So we've got $1,766,000,000 going for international peacekeeping activities. Really? We can't afford to pay our seniors their Social Security checks, but we can send $1.7 billion overseas. Well, almost $1.8 billion. Oh, I'm sorry. Contributions to international organizations. $1.3 billion. Oh, great. And then, of course, let's go down a little further. And we've got another $7 billion going to diplomatic consular programs. Really? And then, of course, embassy security, construction, and maintenance, which I can understand that. Of course, oh my goodness, embassy security, construction, and maintenance. Security. That wouldn't be Benghazi, would it? $2 billion for embassy security, and we have a Benghazi incident? Really? So, kind of adding this up, we've got $11 trillion going on here, or 11 billion, I'm sorry, please forgive me. We've got 11 billion going to the State Department for those areas that, I can understand some of them, but for international peacekeeping activities and international organizations, we can sure cut back on some of that, I can almost promise you. The Department of Interior is another one. Let me bring this back. As I scroll down for the Department of Interior, we've got a lot of money spent there just for everything. As a matter of fact, what you see in red is money that Hard Rock Mining holding fee, where they're actually getting a refund. So that's actually coming back, which is nice. Land acquisition and land acquisition state assistance, $73 million and $100 million. Mineral leasing and associated payments. There's $1 billion right there. These are some of the things that I find questionable, and there's got to be some sort of possibility that we could cut in some of these areas. Department of Treasury. As I scroll down, the interest on the Treasury debt. Now this will be interesting because we have interest on the Treasury debt securities, gross, and that shows as $254 million. But in all reality, what did I say? You have to add your 3 zeros. We're looking at $254 billion. Interest paid to credit financing accounts, another $13 billion. And of course, interest paid to trust fund receipt accounts, shadow account. I'd like to know what that is. $157 billion. So, again, looking at some of this stuff, you're wondering, What in the world? You know, what? And they can't cut spending? Really? There's nowhere where they can cut spending? Then, of course, here we have what I was talking about earlier. Now, don't get me wrong. Social Security was a good idea when it came out because it started to help families with dependent children, single parent families that had a hard time make ends meet and stuff like that. But there have been so many modifications to the Social Security Act that you'll find that a man making $60,000 a year, single, can still get food stamps. That's kind of ridiculous. They're squandering the Social Security away, and again, because of the social justice, they call it, or social agenda, they don't use the term Social Security. It's a social insurance tax. And the Social Security Act of 1986 allows that distribution to go for health care, for aid for dependent families. It goes for a lot of things, people that are disabled, plus the old age retirement. It's all over the place. And here we have the earned income credit, which again, it would be okay if this was limited. But here, $58 billion was paid out for the earned income credit. This is where somebody who works at McDonald's and has a kid or has two kids, let's say has two kids, and at the end of the year they had $600 of state income tax taken out of their check and probably $1,200 of federal income tax taken out of their check. And by the time they get through doing their taxes and they put their two kids in there and apply for the earned income credit, they end up getting $5,000 or $6,000 back in taxes. Where they only had $1,000 taken out, they end up with $5,000 coming back. This is where the $58,585,000,000 comes from. And again, I remind you, you got to add 3 zeros to the end here because that's the way they set this. That's the way the accountants operate these spreadsheets. So yeah, and don't get me wrong, the Social Security was good, but with the least amount of oversight and the way they've changed it or modified it, it doesn't work anymore. You have too many lazy people that are getting their food stamps, their food stamp cards, and selling them for cash and buying their weed. They're getting their cash aid and they're pushing it to the limit. It's just terrible. Then I want to come down to international assistance programs. Okay, here again is somewhere that we can cut completely. But I'm sure they will give you some sort of strange, I don't know. So let's look at some of these. The African Development Foundation, right. $30 million. Remember, we got to add the 3 zeros. $30 million is going to the African Development Foundation. How interesting. Scroll down. Capital Investment Fund of the United States Agency for International. There you go. That's $118 million. And then we've got Clean Technology Fund. That's okay. I'll go with that. International Bank for Reconstruction and Development. $331 million. Contribution to an International Development Association. $1,355,000,000. Great. There's money that I think we could cut out completely. I'm sure somebody will say, oh, no, we can't do that. Still, we're in the international now, remember. But here's one for you, $2 trillion. $2 trillion. Foreign Military Sales Trust Fund. Foreign Military Sales Trust Fund. 19, is that going to be billion? $19 billion. $19 billion for the Foreign Military Trust Fund. Oh, gee, let's not forget international disaster assistance. I mean, they've got Red Cross, but we want to send $1 billion to an account for international disaster assistance. Now, again, we're 14, 15, 16 trillion dollars in debt. We need to pay off our debt and get our own affairs in order. Why we're sending $1 billion over to an international disaster assistance fund is beyond me. I think we need to let Red Cross continue to ask for donations for that, instead of just taking our taxpayer dollars and saving it up for that. Operating expenses of the Agency for International Development. Okay, well, for some of you that don't understand what the Tea Party is going for, the Tea Party is going for smaller government. Technically, we're supposed to have an executive branch, a legislative branch, and a judicial branch. Larger government means you've got more committees, you've got more departments, you've got more of this, more of that. Here's another department that we're spending $1.14 billion on. Operating expenses of the agency that's in charge of international development, that's sending out the other $3 or $4 billion for other countries to help develop them. So these are some of the items that I find just terrible. So I've shown you some of the areas in the budget. And of course, from the obvious interest that we have to pay on our loans, there are many areas that we can cut. I've only given you just a couple of examples. There are over 4,000 line items in this spreadsheet to review. And of course, each agency has their responsibility to review each of these line items. I think it would be good for us as citizens to download this off the gpoaccess.gov and review these spreadsheets to see where our money is going. And we need to make recommendations on what needs to be done. It's time for the United States citizen to start taking responsibility and trying to turn this country around, which will include voting in better representatives in the House, in the Senate, and of course for the presidency. Just one more small opinion. I would not vote for Hillary Clinton because, as I explained before, she started the whole downhill motion of health care starting in 1992. Let's not forget the Benghazi incident where she just thinks we should move on. It doesn't matter. That stuff happened in the past, even though people died. So, yeah, I wouldn't recommend Hillary Clinton for 2016. Thank you for watching.